Get ready with your 3D glasses now for the full 3D experience as we explore the wonders of Nintendo's Virtual Boy.
世界で初めての完全立体映像ゲーム機バーチャルボーイ。テレビゲームでは味わえない立体感があふれるソフトが次々登場。マリオズテニス、ギャラクティックピンボール、テレロボクサーなどが同時発売。バーチャルボーイ、販売店でぜひお試しください。
Hi guys, welcome to a new system unboxing. Obviously no surprise what it is from the title of the video. Now, there's not been that many major flops really from the big video game companies. They've pretty much always done well with their system releases, with their platforms, but this one is certainly a high profile flop, commercially at least. Was discontinued after less than a year. There was only 22 games in total released in England, in Japan and US. It was never even released in Europe. Lots of issues that have been reported with the system, like technical issues like being really fragile, breaking easily, you know, giving people headaches when you play it from the 3D effect that it generates, nausea, aches and pains, loads of physical problems reportedly associated with it. Yeah, commercial flop, did terribly, and it's got a really sad story behind it as well. The guy that basically helped to create it, Gunpei Yokoi. Now he's a guy that is responsible for the Game & Watch series by Nintendo and the Game Boy, the original Game Boy. So this guy has made billions for Nintendo. I mean, he made billions for Nintendo. Ridiculous. This guy is a Nintendo god. He was basically used as the scapegoat for its failure. I don't know whether he was sacked or not. I've been reading about it. It seems like he left under a cloud. He was certainly treated really badly by Nintendo, kind of within, you know, the company. And then he left under a cloud. The guy actually died a year later. In 1997, he died in a roadside accident. Gunpei Yokoi. So yeah, the creator of the Game Boy, creator of the Game & Watch series, helped to create the Virtual Boy. It was a labour of love for him, but it was something that finished him off within Nintendo, and like a tragic story came full circle when he died a year later in a roadside accident. So yeah, so it's got a really interesting story behind it, and it's a collector's piece that just is so interesting for so many reasons. Just to talk about the backstory a little bit about this story about Gunpei Yokoi. Now, he helped bring it to market. Nintendo were approached by a company called Reflection Technologies, who had this idea of how to generate this kind of image. He ran with it. He worked with them and they patented it, or they bought basically the rights to this very unique technology and developed it into the Virtual Boy. Unfortunately, it was rushed to market. Nintendo were already preparing for the N64. At that time codenamed Ultra 64, and they were really eager to crack on with that, to counter the twin threat of the Saturn and the PS1 at the time, the rival platforms on home console. So they were already concentrating the vast majority of their efforts on developing the N64. So Gunpei was kind of left with his research and development team to rush the Virtual Boy out to market before it was really ready. Nintendo wanted to get it out there and start making money on it in preparation to just get it out there, get it on the shelves. We've spent enough money on it already on developing and advertising. We need to start making money back off this thing. So they rushed it to market. They rushed development of it. Of course, if you know anything about it, you'll know that it displays only in red. It only uses red LEDs against a black background. Now they used that because it was cheaper, basically. Red LEDs were the cheaper ones. They also gave the widest range of shades of red. So you could use that one cheap LED to generate more shades and brighter as well, more vivid, brighter colours in a range of shades. Easier and cheaper than you could do with green and blue LEDs. So obviously to be full colour, they'd have needed an RGB display, red, green, blue. That would be more expensive LEDs. It just wouldn't have been cost effective. And again, as it was rushed to market, this technology wasn't developed as far as it probably could have been to make it as amazing as people expected it to be or wanted it to be. Now, it was obviously advertised as a 32-bit system. It certainly had a 32-bit processor, but that is working to generate images on 2 screens instead of just the usual one. So it's actually, you kind of split the power in half there by having to generate 2 separate images for 2 separate screens. And you're also having to buffer the image twice as many times, obviously, because especially with this kind of display and this kind of system, you need to buffer the image a few screens before you know, the screens appear, basically. So there was a lot of processing power in it. Despite that, it was still powerful enough for what it needed to do. I'll go into how some of the games kind of operate later on, but that's enough backstory. Let's get on with the unboxing. Now, I've done a little bit of unwrapping of the outside packaging just to kind of speed things along, and I'll take these off now, and let's have a look what we got. Right, so this is the package the bad boy came in, because I've done a little bit of the unpacking there. Right, bubble wrap there. It was really well packaged. You had some polystyrene in there as well. So there we have it. It's the American package, in a rare example, I think, of the American packaging actually looking better than the Japanese. Usually the Japanese packaging looks a lot nicer in my opinion, but this one is American and it looks gorgeous. I really like that blue-red effect, even though the Virtual Boy itself is not using the red and blue lens effect that you see with the shades that I just had. So the box I've got is in fairly decent nick. Yep, I didn't need it to be mint. It's there though. I definitely wanted a box version because it just looks so nice. So let's see what we've got inside. This might be a little bit awkward to do with one hand whilst I'm holding the camera. So in fact, maybe it'd be better to put it down. So inside we have Virtual Boy Consumer Information and Precautions booklet. Yes, this is probably just telling you, be careful not to make yourself blind. Don't let babies use the Virtual Boy. It will burn their pupils. But yeah, there's probably lots of warnings in there about the Virtual Boy. Certainly one of the negative points of its reputation is the health risks associated with it, which I'll go into later. Mario Tennis is the game that's packaged with it, and that's the manual for it. And it's got colour, yeah, which is ironic. For a system that actually only displays in red and black, you don't really need full colour manuals, but this one does. So yeah, that's nice. But the instruction kind of booklet. No point going into that, it's too much depth. Now, this is the controller, which is actually quite revolutionary. This predates the N64 controller. It predates 6-axis, or the twin. It predates dual sticks on the PlayStation controllers, and the significance of that is in the fact that it's got 2 D-pads. So that's really quite an essential part of being able to maneuver games in 3D, having 2 directional inputs like that. Obviously later on they use sticks instead of pads, but that works really well on the few games that actually do use those twin sticks. Not many do. But you've got 2 buttons there, the twin D-pads, select and start. The on-off for the machine is actually on the controller there. You have trigger buttons on the back, very nice addition. So that's brilliant. Yeah, that's really great on some of the games to have the trigger buttons. And you put the batteries in here. It is battery driven, 6 AA batteries. You can get a power pack for it as well to charge into mains, but I don't have one of those yet. I probably will get one though. But so far, these are fresh batteries, and I have had a little go in the system to test it out, and it works fine. I don't see any problems with that so far. Right, next we have the stand. Now it's people expect it to be a portable system. It's not. You can move it around from stationary point to stationary point, but I wouldn't say it's a portable system. But you can move it around in the sense that you can you get this stand with it, and you basically clip it onto the top here and put it down wherever you're going to be playing it. And that's one of the issues that I think people have had with it. The aches and pains and the eye strains, that kind of thing. I think most of those problems are down to the fact that people aren't setting it up right and playing it in the right positions or conditions. So there's a stand. There's the unit itself. Still got all the wrapping, that's great. So look at that, it's gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, that was in 1995. But even then, I mean, that's not that long ago, but even then that's quite futuristic and groovy looking. I really like the look of it. Just a kind of futuristic headset, shades kind of thing. It reminds me of some character of a cheesy 80s films, but I can't quite place it. Not Ghostbusters. Mannequin? That black dude who comes in on Mannequin with the crazy shades, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, it looks quite impressive. So that's just a cover pad for this, which is this neoprene, basically wetsuit style material head eye guard wrist thing, which makes it more comfortable to use and cuts out the light, because this thing works so much better when there's no peripheral light coming in. That's actually, you really need to have all the lights off to get the best use out of this machine, to be as immersed as possible. I think you need to have all your lights off and make sure you've got a couple hours on the clock free, that you're not going to get interrupted. So yeah, we've got the two screens in there. Behind those are two mirrors. The thing basically, how it operates is it's got two banks of LEDs, vertical banks of LEDs, 224, and they basically display their information. Basically bounces off of a mirror that is spinning at 50 times a second. These are two separate images, so of course it generates a true 3D effect by the fact that the disparity in the images that your eyes sees is processed and translated as a perception of depth. It's the same with in real life, obviously. You know, if you only have one eye, you don't have any depth perception because you only have one set of information of your surroundings coming in, whereas two, the brain processes it, makes one image out of these two slightly different images, and that's how you get depth. So it is a true 3D effect, which you can't say for other attempts at 3D in the console market. So that's how it does it. So you've got sliders on the top here to alter the image. Now this alters the focus, so it's like near or far basically, and this alters the width of the mirrors apart, of the screens basically. It is incorrect usage of these settings that I believe is the cause of most people's headaches and nausea from the system, because everybody's eyes are slightly different distances apart, which means that in order to get this comfortable you need to be set to the right distance to match your basically skull structure basically. If you're viewing it with the wrong width or the wrong focus, that's going to cause a confusion in your brain's processing of the image basically, and that is going to lead to headaches and nausea. And this is something that was basically confirmed in the development process of a few games, namely Waterworld. It's been reported that during development of that game they were experimenting with these settings and found that all of the people testing on a certain setting would get headaches. So yeah, but I mean, I've been playing this for a little bit. I did get a little bit of a headache at first. The first time I ever used it, I did feel a bit weird. I did. It was a strange feeling. I also got a strange smell as well, but I don't know if that was. I don't know what that was, but yeah, it certainly was weird. But I got used to it pretty quickly, and I've not had any ill effects since that first time. So and it's something to get used to, definitely. Right, with this auction I got some games as well. Now this cost me £160 on eBay for a box. Now that sounds like quite a lot. They certainly go as a system by itself for a lot less than that. But there's a lot of games here, and considering there was only 14 ever released in America, 19 in Japan, 22 in total, because obviously some were not released in both areas. So there's only 14 games in America, 19 in Japan, 22 in total. So I've already got 11 of the games in this package. So I've already got almost an entire set. So it is a system that's achievable for a complete set. There are one or two very rare and very expensive Japanese titles. Which, yeah, I don't know if I'll go for them, but it's certainly possible to get a full US set of games for this console. So, without further ado, the games that I got for it are Wario Land, which, as you can expect, is a lot like Mario, and it's a really great game. Really, just it would be at home on any Nintendo system as a great platformer, really up there with the good platformers, and it uses good use of the 3D on the system as well. It's a good game. Tele Road Boxer, which is kind of a first-person boxing sim, which uses both the D-pads to control each hand, and it works really well. Again, the 3D is used really well on it. All these games, it seems to be the case with me at least, that you need to get used to them in order to actually appreciate the 3D effect as much as you possibly can do, I guess. It is something you have to get used to. I wasn't that impressed by the effect that 3D was generating to start with, but it's kind of strange. Well, yeah, once you've made sure your surroundings are right, you've got no peripheral light and everything, it does turn out to work pretty well. Mario Tennis comes boxed with the system. Panic Bomber, which is basically Bomberman. Although it's not Bomberman, it's like Puyo Puyo. It's like one of those games. It's not actually a Bomberman game, but it's a really great game. Now, Red Alarm is brilliant. It's a wireframe game. It's one of the only games that actually uses proper 3D, in the sense that the graphics are 3D generated models, but it's wireframe. The system couldn't do filled-in polygons because of the fact that it only had red LEDs. But this is great. It's a really underrated, great game. It basically feels like the Atari Star Wars game, but with more controls to it. And you can't really recommend a game higher than that. The Atari Star Wars game is just an all-time classic, and this is as close as a feeling to playing that Atari Star Wars games as I've had on any home console. So that's pretty high recommendation. So that's really good to have in the collection. Next is Funky Bowling, which isn't that funky. It's a bit crap, to be honest. Although maybe I'm not playing it right. So far, I've not thought too much of that. The golf game, which I've not tried yet. Oop. Mario Clash, which is like the old Mario Bros game, where you it's one screen and you're just jumping on the turtles and going through the pipes on one screen. The old classic Mario Bros game. So that's basically that. Galactic Pinball, which is nice, simple but fun pinball game. And then this game came in the package as well. And this one is worth quite a bit, so it's probably what bumped up the price a little bit. And it's Waterworld. It's got a really bad reputation. It's people really don't like this game, even within the Virtual Boy kind of fan community. But I've had some fun with it. Apparently it was actually designed, they wanted it to be 2-player, and if that had happened, you can see that it would have been an even better game. You can see that would have worked with 2 people, but you're on basically obviously water and you're firing at baddies whilst you're on a speedboat, and if there was 2 players in that little arena, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah, but because the Virtual Boy just never got off the ground, Nintendo didn't even bother developing the link cable that would be needed to do multiplayer games, even though there is a port there, see my little finger pointing at, for for a multiplayer, multi-link wire basically. So that port is there to do multiplayer, but it was never used. So yeah. I should just show you while I'm here a few things on the underside that I missed before. You have a phones jack, so you can actually use headphones, although the speakers on the system are really cool. Really great digitized, kind of retro sounding audio. It's really great. I'll play some of that later. There's a volume switch slider there as well, and that's where the controller plugs in. I think that's pretty much everything you need to know about the underside. There's the cartridge goes in there. So yeah. Anyway, back to the games. So Waterworld, bad reputation, was supposedly designed with 2-player in mind, never made that far. It goes, cartridge alone on eBay, this goes for 50 quid. I've seen it go for 50 quid for just the cartridge. Boxed over 100. So that's put the price of this package up quite a lot. So bearing in mind all those games, almost the entire US library of games, for 160 quid boxed, it's a good deal. It is a good deal. He wanted 180 for it. I did get him down to 160. There is a slight fault with it. Yeah, and this is a little bit annoying. It's been intermittent at the moment, so I don't think I'm going to return it. I think it's probably actually would be cheaper for me to try and get it fixed. In fact, there's even online tutorials to fix this yourself. There's guides of how to do it. Basically, the system, one of the common systems faults with the system is that you will have glitches on the graphics. You will have like horizontal lines displayed, you know, across the screens. And this is caused by simply one of the ribbons to the screens becoming loose, basically. And there's relatively simple tutorials online of how to open it up and resolder the points on the ribbon to the screen, and you can fix it yourself that way. I'm not sure if I'm confident enough to really get the soldering iron out and try it myself though. I probably will send it off somewhere, but so that was a bit annoying that there's a slight fault on it. It's intermittent. I've only noticed it on title screens so far, which is a bit weird. I've not noticed it on gameplay footage. But I mean, I'll probably show you. If I can film the glitch, I'll show you here. But it's a small problem. I did contact the seller to try and suggest that maybe he could, you know, since this is a faulty system, and he told me it was 100%, maybe he could offer to pay half towards any repair fee. He didn't like that suggestion, needless to say. Yeah, but I gave him good feedback anyway, because we had a good communication and everything else had run smoothly. It was just a shame to get it and see a kind of slight fault with it. Anyway, so after that kind of detour of talking about those kind of aspects to it, back to the games. Just a couple more to show. And this is one that I bought specifically for when I knew that I was getting this system, and it's a game that I couldn't show in a pickups video. The last video I had to censor myself and not show you this one because it would have given away the new system, and that is Vertical Force. So I got the box version, really great, brand new condition basically. Vertical Force, and that's a shooter, obviously vertical scrolling shooter, with the added kind of effect that you can go below and above. There's two planes where you can have your character on, so above and below. It uses good use of the 3D. It's not an effect that couldn't have been done elsewhere. You could have still had that idea on the normal consoles, but that's not the point. And it's one of the criticisms that I've seen of Virtual Boy is that, you know, people say, well, you could just do those games on any machine. Yeah, of course you could, but you could do the old virtual reality arcade machines on any home console as well. That's not the point of it. You know, you could do any of the 3DS games on a normal system. Really, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I've not, I'm not extensively knowledgeable on the 3DS, but that's not the point of this Virtual Boy. And if you go into it with the idea that, well, this is rubbish because you could get these games elsewhere, then you're kind of missing the point of it. Really, it is a genuine 3D effect, and it works well. And it's this is an enjoyable shooter. So, yep, there's that one. That was £12. You can get it a couple of quid less here and there, but I didn't want to wait about, to be honest. And it was a fair enough deal. I got a Japanese box version of Panic Bomber as well. Really great nick. That was I think £7. No, it wasn't. What was that? It was I think 8 quid, something like that. But really great condition, and just nice to have a box version. I think I'll eventually might actually try and go for a full boxed set of games. I'm not going to be concerned whether it's US or Japanese though, because it's a multi-region format. It's not region locked. You can play US, Japanese on both, you know, machines that were released. It's the same. So there's no need to draw distinctions between the US and Japanese copies of the games. So I am going to try and go for a full boxed set, I think. Although, as I said before, there are one or two that are extremely expensive and very, very rare. So, but I'll get a nice collection going. That'll be good. Right. So as you can see, this is how I've got my Virtual Boy set up. It's just on a cupboard here, and it's at the perfect height for me to basically just stand here. And this is going to be quite difficult with holding the camera at the same time. But it's at the perfect height for me to just lean down a little bit and to play it. So I think a lot of the pains and aches and eye strains and headaches that people get from it is from trying to play it in weird positions. I mean, I've seen people on YouTube, you know, with videos of them trying to play it with it perched on their knees and their head's practically between their knees. So if that's the case, you hanging your head down that low in that position for such a long time, yeah, you're going to get headaches. You're going to get aches and pains. Some people recommend lying on your back and playing it. I'm lucky that I've got a cupboard, I guess, that's just the right height, and it's very comfortable for me to just lean down a little bit and actually rest on the cupboard like that. And I don't know if you've seen that properly, and play it like this. So this is a good setup for it, so it's not going to cause me any pains and aches, and it's a great place to display it as well, I guess. Well, I'm not sure how well it's coming out on the camera, but there you go. So that's my new system. That's the Virtual Boy. Now, obviously, this is something that's it seems completely unique. Nothing else like this out there. But there is something else that has been out there for a long time, since I was a kid. Certainly, since a lot of the people watching this video were children, and it is, oh yes, the Tommytronic. Now, there was about half a dozen of these made with different games on it. This is Shark Attack 3D, okay? And when I started looking into the Virtual Boy, this is immediately what came to mind. I got this on eBay for £4, which is a brilliant deal, because they usually go for around 20 quid. The reason this was £4 is there's actually a melted section there, but it doesn't affect either of the buttons or the gameplay at all. So it's completely just cosmetics, and I didn't care about that at all. I just wanted to have one of these back, mainly for this purposes of this review, actually, to compare the two. So this is the Tommytronic from the 80s, from when we were ickle, and it does a genuine 3D effect. You've got the two visors here. You obviously won't be able to see the 3D effect, but down there is a display which you won't be able to see at all. Oh, there's a shark. There you go. So you're currently looking at one of the screens. Badly, sorry for the terrible framing. So you're this guy at the top, and you were supposed to shoot sharks coming up underneath you. And it's a genuine 3D effect, made by two images being displayed. Basically, I can't obviously show you the effects, it's 3D. But the thing that I wanted to point out about this that's interesting in relation to the Virtual Boy. Okay, now as you can see, two eyepieces, a couple of batteries in the back. It's lit with a translucent area at the top here. So light gets in here and actually lights up the display area inside. So you don't have to light it yourself. It's lit by the surrounding light, basically. It doesn't have to be direct sunlight. It works really well in any kind of level light, really. I've not had problems seeing it yet in any kind of light level. Why didn't they try this on the Virtual Boy? This is what I want to know. It was limited in scope because they had to use red, because that was the brightest LED. Not just because it was cheapest, because it was brightest as well. And you have to be able to see the image, you know, effectively. I'm wondering, wouldn't it have been possible to do something similar to the Tommytronic? I mean, if you've got, you know, because this is full colour. This is this thing here from the 80s for £4 on eBay is actually full colour, potentially. Okay, it's still images, you know, it's not obviously dot matrix, it's not LED, it's not, you know, moving images in the same way, but the way that it's lit is simple genius, cost effective, and full colour. So it just makes me think, couldn't they have had some kind of translucent area here that threw light onto the display areas, and thereby you might have been able to use the slightly dimmer LEDs that they were avoiding, and then you would have had full colour 3D, potentially. Is there a flaw in that? I mean, if you know more about these the kinds of technologies, then let me know, but that seems to be that just use a translucent section to light up the display, thereby allowing you to use the dimmer LEDs that they were avoiding and get full colour out of it. But regardless, that's not what they did. I really like it. I really like the look of it. Oh, it's a Sith. It is a Sith console. It really is. It's a shame that it failed so spectacularly. It seems like it was another kind of money men. You know, the cause of the failure was the money men. It wasn't Gunpei Yokoi. It wasn't the R&D department. It wasn't the you know, the fact that they tried this. It was the money men behind it. It was the rushing it to market, insisting on cheap parts, getting it out before it was ready, not allowing third-party development for the system. That's another reason that it failed as well. It just didn't have the library of games. This was something that top Nintendo bosses decided that in order to try and quality control the games on the system, they would limit. They would not allow basically third-party production to a large extent. I think that kind of rectified a little bit when it was released in America, but certainly in Japan it was just Nintendo making games for it basically. So, well, not many third-party developers for it basically. They weren't even given development kits to most of the usual developers, so they never got a chance to get their hands on it. Never got a chance to really try and do something with it, you know. So that was an attempt at quality control that kind of backfired. So there's loads of financial and commercial, you know, kind of business reasons why it failed. I love it for the fact that it's different. I love it for the fact that it's, you know, they tried something different. Gaming can get so blinkered. I mean, it is only limited by imagination, isn't it? You know, gaming, video games, the experiences that can be conveyed are only limited by your imagination and, you know, processing power. But yeah, I love it for the fact that they tried something different, and it is a unique experience that you can't get anywhere else, even on the 3DS. It's great. I really enjoy it.
Enter the unique world of virtual gameplay with Nintendo Virtual Boy. The first three-dimensional stereo immersive 32-bit video game system ever. Virtual Boy is so advanced it can't be viewed on conventional TV or LCD screens. Virtual Boy comes with the Mario's Tennis Game Pack, featuring a three-dimensional court with depth that only Virtual Boy can deliver. Play singles or doubles in either one or two-player mode. Nintendo Virtual Boy, a 3D game for a 3D world.
Do you think the Virtual Boy is dead? Well, it's actually not quite yet. There's actually a homebrew community that exists for the Virtual Boy. That's right, it's very rare, but you can actually get a Virtual Boy cartridge with an SD card slot in it. And onto that you can put your own ROMs, your own games. And people have actually been making their own Virtual Boy games, which is astonishing. And it's something that I really hope you know, takes off, and that the community helps each other with, you know, with development tools, there's shortcuts, programming, and just helping each other to make good games for it. And these games actually already exist. There's some here, and I'll link lots of sites in the low bar, by the way, of sites that have you know, Virtual Boy fan sites. Goes into more detail about the things I've been talking about here. And especially the homebrew community, because there is some games that have already been finished for it and use the system in the proper way that it's intended, to have that depth of field. So that's exciting. I mean, that's you know, with other systems, I mean, like with PS Solar for the Mega Drive that came out, and it used the system more than any game before it. The 64-bit cartridge on PS Solar is the biggest ever released cartridge on Mega Drive in terms of memory. So it crammed more in than any game ever did during its actual lifetime. So it's conceivable that the Virtual Boy is not finished by a long way. It just needs, you know, a certain number of people with developing skills and enthusiasm for the platform to continue helping each other to develop games for the system. So that's really exciting thing about it as well. So yeah, I'm happy I've got it, and I hope you enjoyed this review stroke unboxing of the Virtual Boy, and I'll certainly be doing some more videos featuring this system in the future. Okay guys, bye bye.